Images of nature and hunting are inspiring to those who hunt. Hunting evokes personal memories, personal dreams, personal relationships, and personal satisfaction. They excite. They release memories and trigger dreams. For thousands of years, hunting has existed as a human activity and has evolved with us. Of lasting importance, hunting remains a vital part of our systems of conservation and wildlife management. On behalf of the International Hunter Education Association, the Boone and Crockett Club, and Cabela's, we hope you enjoy the following presentation, which is intended to explore the single most critical element facing the future of hunting and our wildlife: the continued public acceptance of recreational hunting. There are many aspects to hunting that make it one of the most profound and rewarding of all human experiences. Hello, I'm Shane Mahoney, and today we're going to explore one of the most important aspects of hunting, hunting ethics. You will learn where ethics come from, what they mean, and how these ethics can change over time, and why they are important. We will answer such questions as: do ethics apply to the land? Is obeying game laws enough? And is hunting a right or a privilege, or both? When our discussions are finished, you will have a much deeper appreciation of the responsibility borne by all hunters, and you'll be much better equipped to make the choices that all hunters face. All significant human activities, sooner or later, are conducted under a code or set of guidelines that direct appropriate behavior. Without this order, there would simply be chaos and the activity would become unacceptable. Consequently, there are ethics in everything we do. But just what are ethics? Ethics are moral principles that govern a person's or a group's behavior. In hunting, ethics come from three sources: the law, the ethical standards of a group in which you belong, and your own personal beliefs. We have laws that have been established by state and federal legislators that protect wildlife, the environment, private property, and human safety. These laws are clear, written, and widely known. Therefore, ethical behavior begins with following the law. Very often, groups of people share the same beliefs and form hunting parties, clubs, or associations in which each member is expected to follow an agreed-upon set of guidelines. Sometimes these guidelines become rules that are written down. Once we accept established game laws or rules agreed to by a group, ethics become very personal. It is the code that you live by, learned from your personal experiences, teaching, and upbringing. It is what you feel is right and acceptable, or wrong and unacceptable. These beliefs and experiences represent your character and guide your decisions and behavior in everything you do. Personal ethics are aspects of hunting that cannot be legislated. But how do we make the many difficult choices that are not always clear? The situations that test our own values, the tough choices. In total, our individual responses to these situations add up to influence the public's opinion about hunting and hunters, both positively and negatively. In hunting, as in life, it is up to each individual to make a judgment about what is appropriate. When faced with a situation that requires us to act and make a decision, the ultimate test of right and wrong, good decisions and bad, is for each individual to run a gut check. Ask yourself, is it safe? Is it legal? Is it sporting? Is it ethical? And will it project a positive image of yourself and hunting? If you feel good about a decision and its resulting consequences, the chances are overwhelming that the choice was a good one and ethical. But how do we acquire ethics? The good news is that each of us already has all the tools necessary to make good decisions. The same lessons we learn about right and wrong from our parents and teachers apply to everything we do, including hunting. Ethics also come from what drove us to be interested in being a hunter in the first place: a fascination for wildlife. Unlike the prairie, trees, or mountains, animals are mobile. They interact, they are curious, and they are unpredictable. For most of us, we have been attracted to wildlife from an early age. We like seeing, learning about, and being with wildlife. The more we know about, respect, and appreciate wildlife, ethic decisions will come naturally. Why? Because we care enough to hunt humanely and not inflict undue suffering. We only take what the game regulations allow, and it becomes a duty to develop some concept of fair play. When people began accepting responsibility for the land and its wildlife, we evolved from being just a taker of game into a hunter-conservationist. We accepted an even greater responsibility to pay for most conservation, law enforcement, and wildlife management. As a group, we also accepted responsibility for our actions. We make choices as to what is right and what makes us feel good about having enjoyed an outdoor experience in a positive way. Hunting ethics cannot be that simple, and they're not. Your personal ethics may change over time, and what you feel good about as a young hunter, you may not feel good about as you get older. A friend of mine shot his first game bird, a wild turkey, out of a tree with a shotgun when he was 12 years old. That was hunting to him. He was successful and proud. Some of you may think this unethical, but at that age, this never entered his mind. And where he hunted, it was legal. But today, my friend would never shoot a turkey that was still in the roost. Now that would be unsporting to him, and not a worthy challenge. Just as age and experience can affect your decisions, so can other things such as peer pressure, new, more efficient technologies, and the locality where we hunt. Social pressure from others can force us to disregard our own personal ethics in order to be successful. Hunting is a very personal experience that is often done alone, but it also can be shared with others. Sometimes what you wouldn't do alone, you may do in the company of others. That's peer pressure. And we can put pressure on ourselves. Repeated failures and the desire to succeed as time and opportunity runs out can lead us into making poor choices. Therefore, your attitude while hunting and whom you choose to hunt with can influence your decisions. It is therefore a good idea to choose your hunting companions wisely from friends who think and act like you do, who believe what you believe. What can overcome peer pressure and the stress to succeed? Well, age and experience can. As we do things we regret, we adjust to do things we find more acceptable. We learn by our mistakes. Part of what makes hunting a lasting tradition is challenge. There are many things in life that hold our interest and test our abilities, but there is nothing like hunting. Unlike other human activities, in hunting, a game animal dies. Success remains a powerful reason for the hunt. Although bagging game isn't always the definition of a successful hunt, it is the justified and expected result of hunting. But killing is only a part of hunting. What separates hunting from mere killing is the chase, and that the outcome isn't known. To the most dedicated of hunters, the challenge of the hunt is everything, success or failure. The quality of the chase represents a test of our mental and physical capabilities, as well as our knowledge of the game, our skill in the outdoors, and our ability to shoot accurately. Essentially, everything that makes up the hunting tradition itself. But without a high standard of behavior, hunting becomes routine, less meaningful, less memorable, and the life taken less appreciated. The most commonly used expression for such a standard is fair chase. Hunting is not merely shooting, and wildlife are not mere targets. Since as humans we have decided to keep wildlife in our lives, wild creatures demand our protection and our respect. Such respect is given to wild game animals through a fair pursuit. When humans domesticated animals and no longer had to rely on wild game for food and clothing, some made a conscious choice to maintain a connection with wildlife. Hunting renews this connection. Advances in technology have made hunting very efficient for the hunter, more efficient than what some game populations can bear. The use of these new technologies increases your advantage while decreasing the reasonable chance of game to escape. Inevitably, each of us will have to choose what crosses the line of unfair advantage in order to preserve any credible claim that hunting is both ethical and fair. Regulations are established to limit an unfair advantage in some cases, but new technologies develop fast. It is still up to you to decide if easier is better. Complexity of hunting ethics continues with where we hunt. In different regions of the country, there are different traditions. While these traditions may not be legal in one area, they are nevertheless legal and therefore ethical in other parts of the country. Traditions differ, and traditions in hunting are important. It is essential, and hunters are too few, not to waste our energy and resources fighting amongst ourselves over such differences. It is critical, then, that we accept these different traditions. Hunting methods and choice of equipment bring about their own ethical choices. Regardless whether you choose to hunt with a bow or a firearm, there are choices that demand our attention. First, it is essential to develop the necessary shooting skills to be a confident shot under all conditions. Next, are the conditions correct and the shot justified? Did you pursue this animal fairly, and will you feel good about the outcome? Secondly, safety demands our attention. Is the shot safe? Do we know what we might hit beyond the target if we miss? Lastly, can you and will you hit the mark? Taking a shot that is unlikely to result in a clean one-shot kill, like a shot taken in haste, or a shot that is beyond a reasonable distance, crosses the line of what is ethical. Waiting for a better opportunity, even if it means the possibility of not getting another chance, is an ethical choice. So far we've learned that hunting ethics begin with obeying the law, but they are also highly personal. Two good questions now would be, why are hunting ethics important today, and do hunting ethics apply to the land? Hunting ethics are more important today than at any time in history. Why? Because in our democracy, the majority decides what's acceptable in society. Since hunters make up an ever-decreasing percentage of the overall population, hunting traditions are potentially at risk, especially if hunting is viewed as unethical. Today, fewer people hunt, yet everyone has a say in how wildlife is cared for and managed. As societies evolve, there are fewer people living in rural areas and more in urban areas. This means that with each new generation, there is less personal contact with nature. Those raised in rural societies usually have a connection to the land and an understanding of wildlife and of hunting. Those who live in an urban environment who have not been exposed to hunting are less tolerant of what they deem as objectionable hunting practices, including unethical behavior, killing for fun, and trophy hunting. Conversely, hunting is viewed favorably when it involves hunting for food, hunting under a science-based system of conservation and game management, and hunting conducted under ethical and fair chase conditions. When hunting is viewed as unfair, unethical, or disrespectful to wildlife, these favorable attitudes towards hunting, shared by the majority of people who do not hunt, turn against hunting. Clearly, our modern society demands that hunters do more than simply obey game laws. Hunters must practice and display an unquestionable respect for the animals, the land, and one another. Regardless of growing urban societies, humans still have an interest and desire to connect with nature, and more people are enjoying the outdoors and wildlife. This increase in outdoor activity means increased contact between hunters and non-hunters. Therefore, it is our responsibility to maintain an even higher degree of ethical standards and find common ways to share the land and wildlife. Hunting remains a privilege of citizenship, not a right. Like any privilege, it can be quickly lost or diminished. We know that our privilege to hunt can be lost to us and future generations in at least 3 ways. Either we lose places to hunt, or we lose the game to hunt, or both. And hunting can be lost through a negative image where the majority of citizens would oppose hunting, simply saying no more. So in the final analysis, the future of hunting really depends on the ethical conduct of hunters, so that those who do not hunt remain supportive and tolerant of hunting. Ethics should also apply to land use. We know that without quality habitat, there can be no wildlife. Early Boone and Crockett Club member Aldo Leopold, considered the father of wildlife management and ecology, originated the concept of a land ethic. Through his studies, Leopold concluded that all living things in an ecosystem are interrelated. To successfully manage or maintain one aspect of the system meant understanding and managing the whole. As hunters, it is our responsibility to treat the land with respect. This involves such things as ethical off-road vehicle use, asking permission first, respecting private and public property, and if possible, leaving the area where you hunt better than you found it. Hunting ethics are a complex mix of laws, regulations, customs, and personal beliefs. Thankfully, all the guidance you need to become a positive influence in continuing the traditions of hunting is not hard to find. We've learned that ethical behavior starts with knowledge of and appreciation for wildlife and the land. And doing the right thing extends beyond simply following the rules. We've also learned that all living things, including ourselves, are part of ecosystems. To be a complete hunter, it is essential that we do what is right by the land and to become active in conservation. This means being involved by actively supporting sportsmen's organizations and donating money or labor for land and wildlife conservation or restoration projects where we live and hunt. It may be hard for many people to understand, but under the watchful eye of hunter conservationists, wildlife has flourished over this past century. Our systems of conservation and management of all wildlife and their habitats has come to depend on the active participation and financial resources provided by sportsmen. Without the monies and the aggressive, observation-based input from hunters, these systems would simply collapse. Therefore, we have an even greater responsibility to ensure that the honorable tradition of hunting survives. To do this, it is critical that we continue to hunt under the highest ethical standards, obey the law, and honor the feelings and values of those who do not hunt. Hunting must be conducted with attention to fairness to the animal hunted, not only to satisfy your own personal standards, but those acceptable to the public at large. Let me leave you with one important historical fact. As a hunter, whatever decisions you will make them mostly alone and far away from anyone else. That's the nature of hunting. The reason we have the wildlife we enjoy today and the opportunities to hunt is because for generations, the vast majority of hunters have held themselves accountable to these high ethical standards, even when no one was watching. This deeply rooted belief to follow such a code is part of what makes hunting such a profound human experience. And now, as a new hunter, it is your responsibility to ensure that your days afield are conducted ethically and with deep respect for the animals you pursue. For the International Hunter Education Association, the Boone and Crockett Club, and Cabela's, I'm Shane Mahoney.